The verse of the day is Romans 14:23, and it says, "But if you have doubts about whether or not you should eat something, you are sinning if you go ahead and do it, for you are not following your convictions. If you do anything you believe is not right, you are sinning." You guys, today's verse is the main quality I want in my husband, and that all of us should seek in whoever we marry, and that all of us should seek in the friends that we choose. Because when you are a man or a woman of your conviction, that means you can trust that person to follow the Holy Spirit's lead. And that's what this verse is saying today. It's saying that we need to be able to follow the conviction that we feel of what's wrong and what's right. Because if we do something we believe is wrong, even though it's something we could do, but if we believe it's wrong, that's us going against our conviction, which is going against what we think the Holy Spirit is doing in us and doing around us. To give a little context, before Jesus came, the law of Moses had food restrictions. The Israelites had a lot of different rules and regulations and things that they had to follow in order to be set apart, in order to be God's people that were set apart and to prove their obedience to God. And so when Jesus came, he accomplished the law. There's no longer rules and regulations that require our salvation. It's now believing in Jesus that gives us access to that true salvation, because the Holy Spirit helps us now accomplish the law. We no longer have to eat certain things or do certain things to prove our obedience. Our obedience is proven in our heart, in our heart posture. And so today's verse is highlighting those that don't feel like they can eat certain things because of the old way. And Paul is highlighting that if someone feels like they shouldn't do something, that's them honoring their own conviction. And so we need to follow what we believe to be true, even if you are more mature in your faith and you understand that God's grace covers it all, and that God's grace isn't defined by what you eat, it's defined by what you believe and how you live your life. I think a really good example is I don't drink anymore. I used to drink. So my conviction is to not drink because of my past and what I believe God is leading me to do. I could drink, I have the freedom to drink, but I don't believe that would be right for me. And so if I were to start drinking again, that would be me going against my own conviction. And so my conviction to not drink is based off of my past and who I am. It's going to be different than someone else's conviction. So if someone else has a different past than I do and different convictions than I do, and they might be able to have a drink and be okay and have a certain level of peace of mind, but that's not how it works for me. So that's why today's verse highlights, if someone believes something to be true, don't make that person stumble just because you feel free to do it. I think another example is when COVID was happening and getting the shot. Someone's conviction might have been to get it, someone's conviction might have been to not. And that doesn't make anyone wrong or right. It just explains what everyone's conviction is. And that's why you should honor where someone stands, because God is doing something different in all people. And my struggle might be people pleasing or following the way of the world or doing things that culture says. So my convictions might be different in certain stages of my life, because God's trying to teach me how to be set apart and how to not just give in to what the world is saying or what people are saying. So my boundaries and my rules might be different than yours. So it's so important to follow the Holy Spirit in your heart and where you're at, because it's going to look different than the people around you. Now, this doesn't give you a green flag to just do whatever you want because you feel led to be able to do anything you want. There's still the basics, right? You still have to follow how God calls you to live, which is putting Him first, staying out of judgment, not gossiping, not being jealous or envious. The basics are the basics. So we still have to follow the way God calls us to live. But then when it comes to things that the Bible doesn't necessarily say yes or no about, now we get to use our own conviction because we have the Holy Spirit in our heart, and we follow the Holy Spirit to then make any other decision or choice in our life. I think it's kind of cool how the more you walk with God and grow with God and get more mature, the more your convictions change, because God is doing something in your heart. He's showing you more and more, giving you more knowledge and understanding, which then makes you want to be more obedient and have deeper convictions to not do things or to do things For example, when I started following Jesus, I was still drinking. But as I started to walk with God, He slowly but surely started to put this tension in my heart about drinking, which then made me aware of, maybe I should give this up. Maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. And it was this process of Him giving me a deeper conviction for it. So I became aware of this tension within my heart about drinking that led me to ultimately following what I believe to be true for me. Today's verse is how you learn how to trust the Holy Spirit within you. Because if you do anything you believe is not right, you are sinning, which means you're going to break trust in your ability to follow the Holy Spirit that's speaking to you within. Because if you do things that you believe are not right, that's you going against the Holy Spirit in you. That's you going against your conviction. But if you are someone who's able to follow, okay, no, I don't feel led to do that. I need to honor that decision and follow my conviction. That is you honoring the Holy Spirit in you, honoring what you believe to be true. And you might be like, well, how do I know what that feels like or know what it looks like to really follow my conviction? The Holy Spirit will make it clear. It'll be this feeling in your heart of you feeling like, I don't think that's right. Let me trust that feeling and not do what I don't believe to be right. And the more you follow that, the more you're going to have more confidence in your ability to step, in your ability to follow the Holy Spirit, in your ability to have confidence that you lead yourself well with God. I think a really simple example could be maybe you feel like you treated a friend wrong or someone in your life wrong, and you don't want to deal with the conversation, but you feel this thing in you that makes you think that you need to address it and have that hard conversation. You following your conviction is facing that conversation and talking to them and owning your part and treating them with love. That's how you follow your conviction rather than following how you feel, which might be, I don't want to deal with it. I'm irritated that this conflict is even happening, blah, blah, blah. But it's you choosing to follow, no, I feel like I need to address this. I need to have this conversation even though I don't want to. And that's how you maintain your peace, because you're following what you believe is true instead of ignoring what you know to be true and just letting your feelings talk to you. So follow your convictions and ask the Holy Spirit to help you do that, okay?